Good morning, traders. Welcome back to the market caller for today, the 13th of July, 2026. We're excited to have you all here join us today on the market caller. My name is CJ, and together with me, we have my colleagues, Abby, Cynthia, Damola, and Lekon, who are also going to be joining us today on this market caller to share their bias and their outlook on various currency pairs. And we're going to be analyzing it together to show you possible trades we're going to be taking today and how we're going to be executing them. So starting off with gold against the dollar, then we proceed to the rest. Now, looking at gold against the dollar, this morning, gold has been behaving quite interestingly since last week after the announcement of the call-off from the arrangement that has been made between Iran and US so far. And now we're seeing that gold is making headway to the downside. We're looking at possible retracement because it has started the day very bullish, and we could see how far it sold to the downside. We're expecting a possible retracement, which would give us good entries if we were to take entries in the London session. So we are anticipating a retracement, like I mentioned earlier, for gold to give us a good sell-off to the downside. You can see how the day started with a strong push to the downside and it sold off so strongly. Now we're expecting a pullback and then a possible continuation to the downside. If you take a look at the 1 hour time frame, we will see that price has already made that move to the downside. Possible places we're expecting a retracement will be somewhere around here. We're expecting a retracement to get to this particular order block that started the day, and then we'll be expecting the pullback to the downside. And very interestingly, we could also see that price is trending and it's retracing from this particular left shoulder, and we're expecting it to trade to this other shoulder. So it's a very interesting outlook on gold. We're expecting something like this to happen today. So from here, we're expecting a push to the upside, and from here, we're expecting a pullback to the downside for gold. So this is our major outlook on gold this morning as we execute possible trades on it. So talking about possible trades, we're expecting a buy from this particular region, somewhere around 4,000 region, all the way to 4,100. So this is where we're expecting a buy on gold from 4,000 to 4,100. That's my expectation on the buy on gold this morning. So if you're looking to buy gold, then my analysis and yours are correlating at this time. We're executing a buy once we see an entry pattern, either in the form of a bullish engulfing pattern to the upside or in the form of an evening star pattern. We'll be executing a buy to the upside from there, okay? So these are the things that we're expecting to see on gold this morning. Now, talking about other pairs, let's get into the dollar. Let's move away a little from the dollar and touch the yen before we go back to the dollar again. Now, looking at the yen baskets, we're expecting a buy all the way from here, all the way to the upside, but price didn't really tap into entry points. So we're expecting a possible sell-off on the yen basket to the downside right here. And when that sell-off happens, we will be executing a probable buy as well to the upside. So for the yen basket, it's looking very indifferent, but right now we are expecting a possible sell to the downside. If you take a look at it on 4 hour time frame, you see that this move to the upside barely broke any structure, and we're expecting it to resume itself sell off to the downside. And you can see that happening already on the 1 hour time frame through the break of structure that happened this morning on the 1 hour time frame. So for the yen basket, we're expecting a sell-off, and when we're expecting a sell-off on the yen basket, we're also expecting a buy on yen pairs like GBP/JPY and EUR/JPY. Now, starting off with GBP/JPY, you could see on the daily time frame that it already has a buy trend. It had already established a buy trend, and we're expecting that to continue playing out, moving on. Talking about the trade for the day, we will be looking forward to a GBP/JPY buy. You can see that there was a quick wick that happened a couple of minutes ago. We're going to investigate that after the market caller, but usually things like this happen when there is news or anticipation of an intervention from the yen through the Bank of Japan. But we're going to investigate that and give you updates on the Telegram group later within the day or within the week. But for GBP/JPY, it's looking like an established buy moving to the upside. So at this point, I'm going to be looking for my entry signature after I've seen this week to the downside. Price rejected from 216 back to 217. I'll be looking for an entry pattern from this region here to take my trade all the way to the buy side for GBP JPY. Same thing goes for Euro JPY. I'm expecting a buy. If you look at the daily time frame, it looks a bit messed up, but right now it's getting more clarity as we're expecting a buy. I'm tapping analysis from other currency pairs and the yen basket. Of course, we're getting clarity on the Euro JPY. At this point, we're expecting a buy across board. And for GBP JPY and Euro JPY, I'll be waiting to see an entry pattern, then I would execute a buy. But I'll be very, very much cautious seeing what is happening on the yen all through this month. I'll be very, very cautious so that I don't get hurt, because times like this could happen where you just see a quick spike and you would not be able to determine exactly where the yen is heading to. So apply as much precaution as possible while you trade the yen. So my quick breakdown for the pairs I've analyzed this morning. For gold, we're expecting a buy to the upside and then a sell-off from the left shoulder. Then for GBP JPY and Euro JPY, we're expecting a buy moving forward. These are the pairs I'm looking to trade this week and starting off from today. Quickly, we're going to look at the dollar index, and then we'll look at one or two other dollar-related currencies. And for that, we'll be having Cynthia join us on board to share her thoughts, to share her analysis and her bias on these currencies. Good morning, Cynthia.
Good morning, CJ. Thank you for that very wonderful analysis. I hope we're all taking opportunities and note of every price point we're calling out here during the market conversation. Happy New Week, everybody. I believe that the pips have been in our favor this week. All right, so let's just head straight to the attack. Give me a moment. I believe you can see my screen. So on the weekly time frame, we're looking at this price point 107 spot 490 for price to buy into before selling off the XY. And come to the daily time frame. Remember what we said, we were looking out for price to retreat right back into this other block before continuing the buy all the way to the upside, right? This other block right here. And there's even a fair value gap. That's 2 points of interest that we're looking out for price to buy. I'm still of the opinion that this week we may see price pulling back into this level before buying all the way. So this is what I'm expecting to see price do. Pull back into this other block and then continue the buy to the upside. In the 4-hour time frame, let's see. We're seeing that the XY is caught in the range. So we should see price. I'm still very bullish on the XY, but of course, we have various POIs for price to trade into before buying. So we want to see price retracing into this level that we marked from the daily time frame. Right, so we'll be looking out for entries to the sell side on the 5 minutes time frame. Right, there's nothing for us on the 15 minutes time frame rather. So we'll keep our eyes glued. Once we spot an entry, we'll be calling it out in the market color group, right? The market color support group. On the weekly time frame for GBP USD, of course, we've been looking at this price point for price to retrace into 1.24683. Shoulders will break, return right back into the shoulder, and we want to keep buying GBP USD. However, on daily time frame, we've seen that price has traded into this other block right here. Beg your pardon. Seen the price has traded into this level. So we may see the continuation of the sell to the downside on GBP USD to clear the low right here, residing at 1.31648. On the 4-hour time frame, let's see what the 4-hour time frame has for us. Most recent price action seems to be bullish, so I will be taking the sell of GBP USD once I see price take out this low right here on 4-hour time frame, the low at 1.33 402. And on the 1 hour time frame, of course, we've seen that the most recent price action is actually to the upside, right? So we're looking out for the break of structure on the 4 hour time frame for us to keep shorting GBP USD. If that doesn't happen, if price doesn't break that low on the 4 hour time frame, we'll just keep longing until there's a clear break of structure for us to start selling GBP USD. Of course, this week I'm looking out for a buy to sell. I'm bearish on GBP USD into this week once price breaks that low that we were looking at. And last on my list being Euro USD before we head straight to the synthetics market. Daily time frame. Still looking out for price to retrace right back into this level, this fair value gap right here, and eventually 2 points of interest, this fair value gap, and then this other block. These are the 2 points of interest I'm looking out for price to retrace into. As you can see on GBP USD, that has already been fulfilled, but on Euro USD, there's still more room for price to buy to the upside. The 4 hour time frame, it's still stalling. There's no much volume in the market for Euro USD. So we may see price push to the upside, grabbing this liquidity. Price has been consolidating, creating liquidity to be grabbed. So we're going to see this happening before the sell-off on Euro USD. Let me illustrate that on the chart. We're going to see this happening for price to trade into this fair value gap and eventually into the other block we marked on the daily time frame before this happens. The 1 hour time frame, let's see. 1 hour time frame, caught in a range really, right? So I'm just going to wait for price to break out of this range before doing anything on Euro USD. So with that being said, keep our eyes glued. We'll call out any entry we see in the market color group, and whatever opportunity there are in the markets this week will be called out during our live session on the market color group. With that being said, let's head straight to the synthetics market to see what price has for us this week and even into the weekend. Lekon, what are you seeing the synthetics market doing this week?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Cynthia. The market has been in a very amazing state all throughout the weekend, and just based on our analysis on Friday, we were able to get some weekend bread, and this week we are moving again to see what the market is set to give us again. All right, so right about now, let's just quickly take a move straight to the analysis of the synthetic index. All right. Please, I need my screen to be allowed for screen share, please. All right. Thank you. Okay, starting with V75 on the daily time frame, let's look at it from daily time frame. We've seen that price has been very bullish. We've seen a very clear move all the way to the upside. After this strong consolidation, we see a sweep of all the liquidity built, and that is telling us that we are very bullish all the way to the upside. But to what end? You can see how that price came all the way to this reference point, which is this fair value gap here. And if you refine this particular zone on your 4 hour time frame, you're going to see some POI, I mean a shoulder somewhere around this place. But because of time, let's quickly move to the 4 hour to see what exactly is going on price. As a matter of fact, for the 4 hour time frame, we've been waiting for price to retrace all the way into this particular shoulder level here. Then we can look for opportunity to join the buy to the upside. But right now, price has not really fully gotten there, and price is currently in a state where we can easily still look out for more opportunity. But let's refine it more to the lower time frame. Checking on the 2 hour time frame, you're going to agree with me on the 2-hour time frame. This is quite a very good POI to look out for opportunity to buy. However, right now, since price is still very much at the top here, what should we now be doing? So let's go to our 1-hour time frame. And before we go there, remember we are expecting a buy to happen somewhere here for price to take out this liquidity level that we have here. Price should take out this zone all the way out, right? We expect price to take out this level. And when price takes out this level, then tap into this 2-hour shoulder, then we are going to long this 75 all the way to the top again with our stop loss just below this point. All right, so that is the outlook for this week for the 75, and you're targeting your 1:2 or your 1:3. All right, so that is that for the 75. But based on where price is currently now, I am seeing more of, since we won't just fold our ends to see price trade all the way to that downside, what else can we now be doing at this particular point in time? I know someone would be like, yes, this is a sweep of liquidity. We've seen a market structure shift and price is currently in a shoulder. We want to buy, let's buy. Well, this is a very low probability buy if you are buying here. This simply means you are buying at premium. And as a matter of fact, this is not a shoulder, right? This here is not a shoulder. Reason being that this is this is not a real sweep because this is a high, this is a low, and this low did not produce a high that is higher than this, so we did not consider it a shoulder. So what we are looking out for, as a matter of fact, what I am seeing is I want to see this candle closes below this level very well, and price should retrace all the way back to come and take out this high here. If price could come to take out that high, then we should wait for price to tap into this 1-hour shoulder here. And when price taps into this 1-hour shoulder, then that is going to give us a good level to, execute the sell off with 75 in this. Meaning we want to see something of this nature happen and our stop loss just above there. And we are targeting all the way down. Now, this particular trade is what you can target more of your 1:4, 1:5, because our next POI is definitely going to be this point here. So this one is about 1:7 kind of entry that you are looking out for, even 1:8, because the new entry for the buy is just below here. So this is the kind of trade you want to long very well. All right, so that is what I'm looking out to see for the 75. But this setup will only be valid if price could, break this structure to the downside. All right, if price could break this clearly. Right now, price is still, testing the waters. But if this candle closes below this level, in a nutshell, if this candle closes below this level here, then we'll consider a clear market structure shift, not just with a wick, but with the body to the downside. If it closes to the downside with this body, then we'll be expecting a pullback to take out this liquidity. Then we are going to start selling all the way to this level. Remember, the sell is just a short sell for us to join the buy again from this lower time frame. So this is the buy point that we want to buy. So this is this for the 75 index. Now to 75 1S, we've seen how that price has been very bullish from the 24-hour time frame. If you look at it on daily time frame, you can see clearly we are very bullish. And if you check even on the 4-hour time frame too, is still very much bullish. That we are currently in a very strong consolidation. Even if you check it on the 2 hours too, we are still in a very strong consolidation. So where and what exactly are we looking out to see? Now, in the course of the consolidation, we've seen how that the sellers has been frustrated and also the buyers has been frustrated too. And also the buyers has been frustrated too. So since the buyers has been frustrated, and you can see this stop losses here has been taken out, and stop losses as the stop 2 has been taken out clean and clear. So what is the next stage we are looking out to do? We are going to have on our 1-hour time frame, what we want to see is price, since price already took out this, and this is now a clear market structure shift to the upside again. So what I'm expecting is price to pull back all the way, tap into this shoulder, then we start to buy all the way back up. All right, we can see reference point at this level, this LPG. Well, I'm expecting price to tap into this shoulder. So this is the POI for V75 1S buy, right? And we have our stop loss just below here and follow through all the way to the upside, this liquidity level to be precise. Or if you are just going to do your 1:2 and enjoy your money. All right, so that is that for VIX 75 1S. And lastly, for this week, we are going straight to VIX 10 1S. Now for VIX 10 index itself. Now for VIX 10, we've seen how that we have some level of market structure shift to the upside. First shift, second, and price attempting to get to the third one. Now on Friday, we had this markup that was triggered during the course of the Student Traders Forum, during the course of the market color rather, sorry. And this was it. This setup was triggered and it delivered 1:2, and price is pulling back down again. Now, if you did not get that on Friday with us, the next thing you should do is that right now where price is now, we're already seeing another entry. Okay, so just wait for price to take out this low here. And this is the reason why I do advise, if you can just do your 1:2 and go away, that's it. You get your money and go away. So imagine you've been in this trade since Friday together with us, and we already took TP here, and price is already back to your entry. But the question is, will it still move? Yes, definitely, but you'll have taken 2 entries. So the next entry we are waiting for is price to come and take out this inducement that we have here. So when price takes it out, this is going to be our next entry level. So we are just waiting for price to take out that level. Immediately price take this out, we are looking out for our entry signature. And if you are wondering what is the entry signature, you can easily just ask in the DM to join our ATM cash flow training, and this is just the tiny SL that is going to be for. And since that is our SL is just a little pips below here, and we are targeting the top that price took to come back to this low again, so which is this high. All right, so that is it. That is what we are looking out to see price do in the course of the week. And remember that as price keeps moving on, there are a lot of diagonal liquidity that needs to be targeted. So in case you are the type that wants to long it all the way, then you should be targeting all this diagonal liquidity as price keeps moving to the upside. All right, so without much ado, this is going to be that is going to be it for the synthetic indices for this week. Make sure you trade cautiously and use your proper risk management strategy. All right, so we'll be moving straight to the indices market right now to see what is going on the US 30, S&P 500, and Nasdaq. So bringing us that is going to be Demola this morning. Good morning, Demola.
Good morning, Lekon. Thank you for the analysis on synthetic. Okay, so starting this morning with US 30, I'll be sharing my screen. Let's see what we have. All right, so on US 30 this morning, we have the market on the daily time frame. We're still very, very much bullish, like we mentioned last week. And then the market is even recovering from the sell we had, right? And then it's pushing back to the upside. We can see very clearly on the daily time frame, market is bullish. Last week Friday candle closed as a bullish candle. So I expect liquidity to be taken out from this zone here, right? Our buy should enter this zone on the daily time frame. That's what daily time frame is saying. By the time we come to the 4-hour time frame, it's now another story, right? On 4-hour time frame, we are seeing like a box pattern, right? Which is for a sell, meaning price has broken the H4 higher low, right? Creating a new lower low to the downside. And this means that if for any reason we see a news that supports a bearish bias, meaning a news that supports the market selling off, then we should be looking at selling this market from the zone, right? Price getting into the zone, a good 1:3 or 1:2, depending on how you refine the trade, the
the markup. That's the setup, right? On the 1 hour time frame, what do we have? Now it becomes even very clear on the 1 hour time frame, right? A sweep, a break to the downside, and then price giving us that push to the upside. However, I'm seeing something very also unique on the 1 hour time frame for a buy, right? So there's every incentive for price to, you know, this is sweep, this is some form of break to the upside, although not violent. There's every incentive for price to do this, right? We see price using all of this as some form of inducement, all of this, right? Some form of inducement. And then price take out this, and eventually we head into this zone, right? This is at least 1:4, 1:1, let me look at it clearly. This target here. Oh, beautiful, 1:6. 1:6, right? And then eventually we see a sell-off from this other block. Another sell-off from this entire other block here, right? But you know very quickly that the setup that the daily time frame is supporting is this buy for now, right? So we want to stick with that. But then if eventually the market continues to sell, then we are looking at both 1:6 and 1:7. 1:6, 1:7 on US 30 this morning. Everything being equal. Look at what the price, look at what the market has for us. We have seen a sweep and then a break and some form of inducement also above this level, right? So we're looking at 1:6 and 1:7. In fact, if you're very, very stingy and you want to take all the money off the table, then you should be looking at 1:7. 1:7 for a buy, 1:7 for a sell. Seeing what the market has done this morning. But then to be on the very conservative part for the buy, we're looking at 1:6, and then for the sell, a beautiful 1:7 to be delivered to us. That being said, last week we looked at NAS 100, and in as much as we got stopped out on US 30 sell last week, NAS delivered very, very well. Remember our setup for last week, we closed the week with a beautiful 1:2. A beautiful 1:2 what now? 1:5, 1:4, right? On NASDAQ. The same setup with US 30. However, not US 30 now, with S&P 500. However, we're stopped out by just probably 20 to 15 pips, right? And then, but for NASDAQ, we saw that delivery smooth to the downside, giving us a good trade. So, looking at all our trades for the past 1 to 2 weeks, right? Remember this 4 hours other block that we have around this zone, exactly. So we had price trading into that zone and then delivered well. 1:3, not 1:4. 1:3, not 1:4. What am I looking at this morning, right? In as much as we are still in a bullish run, we are still very, very, very much buying in this market. By the time you look at it from the daily time frame, right, you would see from the daily time frame we are in a form of consolidation, right? Unlike US 30, on the daily time frame on NAS 100, it's gradually getting into some form of consolidation. And what does that mean? It is that we stay out of the market completely, or we take advantage of both buys and sell in this market, right? That being said, look at what the market has given us this morning in terms of trade opportunity. So I've been selling to the downside, right? Price has created a new lower low. This last week, created a new lower low last week. This week, we've seen some form of sweep and break of structure, like a box pattern also, which is this zone here. Not as clear as US 30, but it's also very obvious, right? Price swept through all of them. Yeah, we are seeing a sell to the downside, breaking even its own previous structure. That's the higher low. So what am I expecting this morning? Some form of sell to the downside also, right? Some form of sales to the downside. On 45 minutes, you have this other block that is huge. Yeah. Let me use body to candle ratio, and then we sell off from this zone. Right? A very aggressive entry will be this zone. And then where are we looking to close all of this? 1 is to 1 is to 3. Yes. Good 1 is 3, yeah. Or this is the first setup I'm looking at this morning. The second one will be from that left shoulder. From that left shoulder. The same, okay. Now just the take profit. The same zone. 1 is 7, right? On both NASDAQ this morning, looking out for sales, meaning price comes back into this zone, then we expect the sell-off. In fact, to be very frank, an objective target will be price, long-term target, will be price clearing all of this last week lower low that was created. But just so we are on the safe side, and then we're able to enter the markets and come out as fast as possible, then we should look at this zone as our area of exit from the market, right? So this morning, again, on US 30, we are looking at both buy and sell from our end, buying the market into 53,027.02 level, and then selling off from the other block above into the last week low that was created, clearing all of those lows. All right. On S&P 500 this morning, it's not very clear as the rest. So you can see it's obvious we are also bullish on the higher time frame, but then in terms of structure is not that clear on S&P 500. For that reason, we just be taking a pause on it and then use it to, as correlation asset class or correlated pair to monitor our movement on both NASDAQ and Dow Jones. That's US 30. Okay, so that'll be what we have for this week, and hopefully it plays out. So you're looking at a combined trade opportunity of probably 1 is to 16-ish, right? And into 1 is to 20, provided everything plays out. Hopefully it does that. It gives us a return that we had about 2 or 3 weeks ago, right? So that being said, the markup will be dropped in the group and for us to take advantage of it. If you have any question, of course, you can always reach out to us. We'll be moving very quickly to the last part of the market follow this morning, where we'll be looking at the commodity asset class opportunities we have for the week, and also, beautiful trade follow-ups. All right, over to you, Abigail. What's the market saying?
All right, thank you for that, Demola. We're going to be looking at the commodity currency market now to see the opportunities that present themselves today. Starting off with a look at AUD/USD on the H4 time frame. Now, AUD/USD has been breaking structure points to the downside for a while. Looking into the most recent price action now, you'd see that a new sunshine has been printed. For a lot of us who don't know what that sunshine means, it basically means people who were taking this temporary reversal trade have taken profits out of the market, hence why this sell is happening, very much expected, right? Looking at this now, it's making me see that AUD/USD may just be preparing for a sell resumption. However, when we quickly go to the H1 time frame, you would now see that price has now traded into the 1 hour pullback territory, which is now a particular zone we're watching out for to see what price does from here. Either it retraces the overall list through. However, based on past data, we expect AUD/USD to give us temporary buys, hence what we are looking at in the market right now. From that zone to what price has currently done, it has moved about 17 pips, right? Now, AUD/USD is not as clear as I would prefer right now based on where it currently is, because it is in between two indicators, which is safe to say could be a range every now and then. Okay, give me a second. Right, so sorry about that. I'm going to quickly take that from the top. Realized I wasn't sharing my screen. So as I was saying, AUD/USD has been breaking structures on the H4 time frame for a long time, with the major support level watching out for being all the way down here. The specific price point is 0.68304, right? Now, sunshine has been printed indicating that there's going to be a sell resumption of this asset class, and sell into volume, because we know price does not just move based on vibes. It's most likely to be targeting the next major support level, which is what I just called out. Moving down to the H1 time frame, you see that we also have 2 or 3 basic POIs that we've now marked out on the chart. The first point of interest being 0.70284, the second one 0.69153, and the third one, which is where price currently is, at 0.69392. This is saying to me that it is either price is going to violate through this jumbled up movement that it has right now, break it through to the downside and continue to sell, or this is going to serve as a support to push price into the upper POI that we have at 0.70284 before the sell is resumed, right? So I'm currently watching to see what price does. The time frame that will even give me a clearer detail would now be me moving down to the 5-minute time frame to see what price currently is doing at that zone. And you'd see that price came to test into what was a previous support level and then bounce back up into our indicators. So from where price currently is right now, it is possible to see AUD/USD come and give us a move like this. However, should it fail to and continues to break through the structure points, we know that the next major resistance level that will stand in the way of AUD/USD, giving us this, continuing this buy move that it has, is going to be somewhere around here. So for those of us who don't have the indicators, what you want to do is to take note of the price points that I'm looking out for, and then, take it from there, right? So I'm expecting price to do one of 2 things, as it always does. You're either going to respect this indicator that we have here and continue to break through to the downside, or violate it and then trade into the next major resistance level, which happens to be at 0.69684. From then on, we would now know what's going to be happening, but we're waiting for confirmations, of course. And right now, there's no confirmation on the 1-minute time frame that is signaling to me what the predominant move is going to be. However, price is already in a very good point of interest, so I am actively watching out to see what it does at that POI. You can see here, there's no confirmation at all at the moment. A good confirmation will be me seeing price come to break through and give a retest of this particular level point. So I know that the POI on M5 is going to be holding and sell is going to be continued. Or break above, come test into the zone, give us confirmations, and we know that AUD/USD sell is now back in full force. Moving to the next asset class, NZD/USD, which happens to look like the clearer or most preferred asset class between AU and NU this morning. You see that price came, gave us all this move back, sunshine printed, and the gap between the sunshine indicator and what could be our next major POI is, a bit far. So this is looking like the most preferred right now, but systematically, so I don't get you confused, price sunshine has been printed, so I'm expecting a temporal sell move to happen. Coming down to the H1 time frame, you see that these are levels that I've marked out on the M5 that price is respecting, hence why we see this buy happening. But going back to the H4, as long as this sunshine is still here on the chart, this is still what I'm looking out for. Of course, price can come, violate this and give us a new sunshine printed on the top side, but I'm currently reacting in sync with what the market is doing, right? So should price continue to sell, this is now the point of interest on the lower side that I'm watching out for, and this happens to even be a flip zone, a previous resistance that could act as current support in sync with our momentum indicator, and that point of interest is 0.57293. The second point of interest all the way down here is 0.56876. So what am I saying? I'm saying because of the indicator that's been printed on the H4 time frame, if price is going to continue to give us that temporal sell-off, we're going to see it trade into here. I say temporal because you can just tap into this zone and find support at this momentum X flip zone and continue to buy, right? Until price violate this zone before I now use the term a continuous sell of this asset class, right? So looking at this now, the 5-minute POI which we marked out is already being respected. As you can see, this is a key level that was marked out on M5, and NZD/USD is also delivering similar to what AUD/USD was also doing. This is now giving about 27 plus pips this morning, which is not a bad move for an asset class like NZD/USD. So from here, this is the major resistance level in its way, 0.57836, or the top one and they are not so far from each other. You could even call them a zone. The next one being 0.57919, right? This is where price is fast approaching. Price is going to hit resistance here. Give us confirmations for us to know that the sell is going to continue. However, should price violate these levels, then we know that NZUSD buy was a bit more push to the upside before it is continued, right? And if it's pushing upward, we know where it's coming from. You can see all of this diagonal liquidity that is resting above it, and the next major resistance level above the structure point. So right now, this particular zone is a major point of interest for me, a key level of interest at 0.57961. I want to see if the resistance holds by checking for my confirmations, or if they get violated to now target the next major resistance level above that point. And then finally, looking at USD CAD on the H4 time frame, this is clear as day. Price has just been buying for the longest. There's a new sunshine indicator printed, basically signaling that the USD CAD buy is about to resume. Now we'll go down to lower time frames to see if that is true. When you come on the H1 time frame, now you see how we have these very slow but break of structures to the downside happening. It looks like a range, but a range to the downside, right? So is USD CAD going to give a bit more sell into 1.40228 before the buy is continued? Very likely, right? But this now is a major point of interest for it to serve as a support. Another confluence, previous resistance, don't support X, the trend indicator. So watch out for that, right? And then over here, these are now the resistance zones that price could either buy into, hit it, and drop. And you can see when I zoom in, so you can see the specific candlesticks, price tapped into the momentum indicator, which was in sync with a 5-minute point of interest, and continue to sell. So right now, watch out for this zone. If 1.41190 gets broken through to the downside, USD CAD may give more sells in here before the buy is continued. However, my bias for this asset class is predominantly a buy with the sell being temporal. Same thing here. Now, this strategy would have given us a beautiful entry to catch this USD CAD sell. You can see how price broke through, came back to retest this range, continue to sell from where price currently is. So this zone is about 40 plus pips, and that would have been, our take profit level, right? So that's fine. This has happened. Right now, what we're watching out for is for price to just do this. There's going to be something like this happening in the market from here. We trace into this zone and then either continue to break through, violate this level and tap into the H1 point of interest all the way down here. So we're going to be watching to see what price does. Now, don't forget to also take a note, or take a look rather, at Forex Factory, so that you're in the loop or in the know of the high impact fundamental news releases coming out this week. So you can see them here. There are some news releases coming out on the dollar on Tuesday, cost CPI. There's also some news releases coming out on the Canadian dollar. That's a monetary policy report. All of these are high impact news releases. So make sure you want to watch out for this because they have to do with the asset classes that we just finished looking at. With that being said, thank you so much for joining us today. If you're not already part of the Market Caller community on Telegram, do that now by signing up. Just visit valueflowtrading.com/market caller. And there's somebody who is totally new to trading and everything we've been saying is just sounding like magic and you want to learn, I highly recommend you WhatsApp us right now at 081 6099 5030 and let us guide you through making weekly cash flow from this financial market. With that being said, have a profitable trading week. I look forward to seeing you in the community. Bye for now. Cheers and God bless.